today, Dallas Cowboys fans, Cowboy Nation. We are now officially 1 day away from the NFL draft. It's a very exciting time for, I just say NFL fans in general, because now your team can kind of figure out what exactly some of their weak spots are, what they can still fill up, maybe with whatever remaining free agents after this draft, and also just getting some young, good talent into this league. This is going to be a very deep draft at many positions. I'm going to talk about the running back position, like I've said already. We can talk about the receiver position. We can talk about, I feel like this is a solid linebacker draft, and I'm gonna say solid. I don't think there are many guys that you're looking at splash linebackers, but this is a very solid draft when it comes to linebacker play as well. So the Dallas Cowboys have many ways they can take this thing. Obviously, sitting there with the 24th overall pick in this first round, you never know how exactly this is going to go, because we heard over the last day or so, I believe, the press conference, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, Mike McCarthy's there. It was not a good press conference if you're a fan, just because you're hearing too much from Jerry Jones about the cap situation is not what I thought it was going to be. And also, he said he didn't really even know what the cap situation was until the Senior Bowl. That's not what you want to hear from guys that are supposed to be your decision makers. Like, what are we doing around here at this point? But we already know the front office is what the front office is. As a Cowboys fan, we're going to have to try to pretty much over maximize what our talent is and what we can do scheme wise with this coaching staff, and see if sometimes that can just overpower what we're not getting from the front office when it comes to just being intentional. We see too many times where you're not signing players ahead of time, where you can kind of, and again, we're talking about guys, look back to the Dak Prescott contract some years ago. Dak would have taken about $32 million, but the Cowboys wanted to wait and see if he was going to be able to do it again. And what happens? Then you end up having to pay higher, higher than what you had estimated, for yourself originally. And we're kind of finding ourselves in that same situation with CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. And if we thought the Dak Prescott pay was even higher than what you feel like he should have, I'm going to tell you right now, buckle up, because this time is going to be even nastier when it comes to CeeDee Lamb. He already said pretty much he's sitting out these voluntary workouts. He's not going to be out there putting his body on the line if he's feeling like he's not going to be compensated as such. We've seen what he's been since he came into the league. Forget even just the last couple seasons. Since he came into the league, he showed himself to be a playmaker in this league. Again, and that was when Amari Cooper was still here, and you still had somewhat of a solid Michael Gallup. This is going to be a guy the Cowboys are going to have to pay big, and we don't have to even go into what the contract is going to look like for a player like Micah Parsons. You can have your opinions on what he does off the field, the podcast, the streaming, all that. Micah Parsons is a premier player in this league, and you have got to, you can ask anyone around the league, ask all the general managers, the front offices around the entire NFL. They speak glowingly about the player they think Micah Parsons is. So that contract is going to be something. We're talking historic numbers as well. So Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, they are who they are at this point. You're a Cowboys fan. You have to ride that wave. If you like it, if you don't like it, at the end of the day, we're all trying to see this team have some success, finally, some real success in what has been decades at this point. So the Cowboys are going to first be able to, I can say that first stepping stone will be this upcoming NFL draft tomorrow, and it's going to start, to me, what I feel like if you're going to boost anything on this team, I'm not even going to say necessarily tomorrow on day one of the NFL draft, but the Cowboys are going to have to get more physical in the trenches. We're going to have to get bigger bodies. We're going to have to fix what we're now missing at the center position. You're losing your center. You lost your left tackle. Now you're having to figure out what exactly you're going to do with Tyler Smith. Is he going to be your left guard of the future because he was an all-pro last year? Or are you going to move him to left tackle, which you had originally believed he would have been? You would have moved him maybe to left tackle in the wake of Tyron Smith no longer being here. And now, again, there are just so many questions when it comes to this line. I don't care who you are, whether you're the best quarterback in the league, you have the best arm, you have the best QB vision, whether you're a running back with the best vision, the best athleticism. It doesn't matter what you're going to do. You can't do much if you don't have a solid O-line in front of you to give you the time to make these plays. So the Cowboys are going to have a lot to focus on. I also want to say the Cowboys can personally, in my opinion, we can boost some more on this defensive line. I don't want to see the Cowboys continue to let these guys get older and longer in the tooth. Look at DeMarcus Lawrence. He's been in the league for a while at this point. And, of course, he's still a guy that can be very capable. And, again, we're talking especially when we're talking about what he is as a run defender. But a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence, he should be on the way. I'm not saying the way out, like you're kicking him off the team or get him out of the league. But we're talking about a guy, he should not be the focal point of what we're looking at when it comes to pass rushing anymore. Sam Williams, obviously a guy we got in the second round a couple years ago. You're looking to see him actually take that step forward. He's worked with Micah Parsons throughout this entire offseason. So those have been some big things you love to see. Again, just to getting that work in. But he's going to have to show it on the field and get rid of some of those boneheaded plays we start to see. I would say we start to see, but we have happen to see from a Sam Williams from time to time, whether it's special teams, whether it's when he's out there on the defensive side of the ball. I want to see him become a prime time player. If we can get somebody that can play opposite of a guy like Micah Parsons, who also, I will say right now, is very up in the air, I feel like we definitely will have to lean more into pass rushing defensive lineman work if what Mike Zimmer says. He, at this point, kind of sees himself more as a linebacker. He sees Micah Parsons more as a linebacker, excuse me, I will say, Mike Zimmer. So we'll see how exactly that's employed. Now, that doesn't mean a guy like Micah Parsons, if he's playing predominantly linebacker, you're not still using him as a rusher a good amount of times, a fair amount of times. But I feel like we could potentially see a Micah Parsons be able to be used a little bit more in the line, I guess you want to say your standard linebacker role, especially that we do not have that I guess you want to say have that leeway anymore. You're looking for even a guy like Leighton Vander Esch, we no longer have. Although we can talk about the injury history. We could talk about he was not who he was that first year or so in the league. After that, but what you can say, when Leighton Vander Esch left that lineup, you start to see some issues that you really have to sometimes experience as a fan. You could say, sometimes the guy may not be the best player in the league, but what he is a calming presence. And he is a veteran. He was a veteran in this league. Leighton Vander Esch could help get guys in position. He could also make some plays for himself here and there as well. So we are now going to have a mixed bag of what the Cowboys can do, because I'll also say in the same time, like I've said in the last couple of days, a running back video, we're talking about wide receivers. The Cowboys can honestly lean into the offensive side of the ball as well, because if you're looking to say, hey, Dak Prescott, this is a shut up and prove it year for you. This is going to be something we're going to say it's a shut up and prove it year for Mike McCarthy in the offense. Maybe sometimes you want to lean in a little bit more on the offensive side and say, you know what, we're just going to outscore everybody. We're going to hope Mike Zimmer can work some magic and improve and develop some of these guys that we do have right here. But you're going to also say, maybe we're just going to try to put so many points on the board, the other team is going to fall into their weakness, which is going to be what for the Dallas Cowboys? If we're able to get a Trayvon Diggs back healthy, if you're able to get DaRon Bland to say, I guess you want to say that first half of the season, DaRon Bland, because after that, I want to say after that Seattle Seahawks game, you start to see teams pick on him a little bit. And to me, that was just still in the same mix. It was kind of de facto. Stephon Gilmore was still playing kind of that number 1A, 1B, whatever corner role. But he was more of a necessity instead of just an extra additive like we had originally, where you had DaRon Bland and a healthy Trayvon Diggs. So DaRon Bland, I want to see him continue to get better and show that just more consistency. It's not even about the interception numbers, which he ended up with the NFL record, 5 interceptions for return for touchdowns last year, 5 pick sixes in the season, NFL record. Also 9 interceptions overall. DaRon Bland is a very capable cornerback. Let's be clear. I'm not saying he's not that guy. It was a fluke, because he's shown in his first couple years in this league he can go get the ball. But I want to see just more consistency from him. So the Cowboys, they could be looking and say, you know what? If we're going to be able to get some of these guys back, like I said, the Trayvon Diggs, I believe Marquise Bell is moving back to safety now. Jaron Kearse, that's the whole saga of the Jaron Kearse era with the Dallas Cowboys. I believe Malik Hooker's still going to be here. So we're going to have to figure out what exactly we're going to do on the defensive side of the ball. But the Cowboys, like I said, I really believe we can also lean in on the offensive side of the ball as well. So this is going to be a very interesting thing. Let's talk about just a few players I feel like the Cowboys could potentially grab with that 24th overall pick tomorrow. The first player for me that I would love to see the Dallas Cowboys bring in at that 24th overall pick in the first round, if the Cowboys hang on to it. We already know sometimes Jerry Stephen Jones love to trade down, regain some new picks or whatever, some extra picks. But if the Cowboys hang on to that 24th overall pick in the first round tomorrow night, I would like to see the Dallas Cowboys. It's not going to be a pretty pick, because sometimes, of course, we love to see the splash player sometimes as well. But Jackson Powers Johnson out of the University of Oregon, a 3-year player at the University of Oregon, now leaving after his junior season, about 6'3", 320, something like that. He was a unanimous All-American last year, All Pac-12, and the Remington Trophy Award winner, which is the best center in the entire country in college football. So this is a guy the Cowboys, we're obviously going to say, you're losing our center, then you're having to look around and you're losing Tyron Smith, like I said, left tackle, and now you're having to move around some guys. Zach Martin's still there. Terrence Steele, we'll see if he's able to kind of get better and as farther removed as he gets from that injury he suffered. And then now you're going to have to ask yourself, are you going to move Tyler Smith out to left tackle? Maybe move a guy like TJ Bass to left guard opposite of him, and then move a guy like Jackson Powers Johnson into that space at center position. I feel like this is a guy that's going to be able to come in and play us kind of that sense of that Travis Fredericks role. I don't get, when you start talking about centers and positions like that on your interior O-line, I don't get into whether you think he's a second round pick or whatever that is. At the end of the day, if you feel we need a center, and I'm always one of the biggest, I guess you want to say callers for best player available. But if the Cowboys are going to look to solidify somewhat the interior of that O-line, which we're definitely going to need going forward, Jackson Powers-Johnson is a guy I would like to see the Cowboys bring in with that 24th overall pick in the first round. The next player I would definitely enjoy the Cowboys bringing in at that 24th overall pick in the first round is Adonai A.D. Mitchell, former University of Georgia receiver, transferred to the University of Texas last year, helped that Texas Longhorns team, my Texas Longhorns team, make it all the way to the Sugar Bowl against the University of Washington, and came down to one final play where he almost has a chance. Ball's a little too high. He has a chance to make a play and get us to the national championship game. But this is a guy that you can see stretch the field. He ends up running a 4.3, a sub 4.4 in the 40 combine and in the NFL combine, and that shocked a lot of people because just being able to see that frame that he does have, that 6'3", 6'4" frame, this is a guy that you can see stretch the field. And also, he's great. His body control is amazing. It's special, and I'm gonna say off the charts type body control, because the ball sometimes it can float on him, and he has the ability to alter his body and come down with these catches. If you're able to put a guy like that opposite of a CeeDee Lamb, able to get that CeeDee Lamb contract done, obviously, but able to get CeeDee Lamb back in the mix, but have Adonai Mitchell playing opposite of him and still seeing what Brandon Cooks potentially could bring this year, Jake Ferguson at the tight end position, we have many guys that Jalen Tolbert to allow him to take another year of development. I feel like Adonai Mitchell could come in and be a major contributor in year one. So that's another guy I would love to see the Cowboys bring in with the 24th overall pick. Player number 3, prospect number 3, I would love to see the Cowboys bring in with the 24th overall pick. Obviously, you never know how the draft is going to go. Sometimes teams are going to place their team needs over maybe best player available. So sometimes you can see some guys drop a little bit. I believe he would probably be gone before the Cowboys will pick at 24th, unless they moved up. You never know how this goes. It's gonna be up in the air. But a player I would love to see the Cowboys bring in is edge rusher Jared Verse from the University of Florida State University. This is one of those guys. He's a stretchy type player. He has great bend. I believe about 6'4", 250, 260, somewhere around there. A guy, I believe in the last 2 seasons, he's a two-time All ACC player, a 2-time first-team All-American, 18 sacks in his last 2 seasons at Florida State. This is a player that's played under the big light, so he understands that, again, just having that motor. That's the one thing you can watch when you see a player like him. He has that motor, and I'm going to say if the Cowboys are able to add in, just help out this defensive line, look at what Jared Verse is talking about. The type of player that Jared Verse is, and also what Mike Zimmer is looking for. I feel like he's going to move a guy, like I said, a little bit more. Micah Parsons is probably going to play a little more linebacker, just based on the few words Mike Zimmer has spoken since I guess in that first presser, once he became defensive coordinator officially. You're going to have to take some pressure off of guys like a DeMarcus Lawrence. Like I said, we're still trying to see what Sam Williams can actually bring. But just adding and bolstering to this D-line, in addition to seeing what exactly Amazi Smith is going to be this year. The rumor is that they're trying to get him back up to about that 340, 350 type range. They want him to get more massive back, that same massive size that Dan Quinn wasn't really the biggest fan of, all the massive size that he had. Mike Zimmer seems to want Amazi Smith to get back up there in his weight and just strength. So that's going to open up things for some of these edge rushers. If you have a guy that's going to be that placeholder and completely be able to push that pocket in the middle, a guy like Jared Verse would be a major addition to the Dallas Cowboys D-line. The 4th player I would like to see the Cowboys pick up with the 24th overall pick is receiver Xavier Legette. This is a receiver now. You're going to say he didn't really have his splash season until this past season, his 5th-year senior, I believe, at University of South Carolina. But he's second-team All-SEC, 71 catches, I believe over 1,200 yards receiving. This is a guy that he's going to find the end zone, but it's his frame. Playing about 6'3", 220, 225, big, huge frame, and he runs a 4.3 40, also a sub 4.4 at the NFL Combine. This is a guy you're now going to say, he is going to be a physical type receiver in this league, and that's going to pay major dividends because it's a little bit of a difference and a contrast based on compared to what you're used to getting from a guy like CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb has his moments of physicality, obviously, but he's just more that all-around guy that you're going to be able to say he can work himself in and out of routes, whether it's in the slot, whether it's in the outside, regardless of what you're looking for from a special playmaker like that. But when you have Xavier Legette, obviously, you no longer are going to have a Michael Gallup. Brandon Cooks coming to the last year of his deal. You're going to have to replace that production, and you're going to have to get younger because obviously the Cowboys have not, for some reason, focused on any free agency where we're talking about different positions, and that will allow you to be able to make these splash plays where now you don't have to worry about O-line or anything like that, because there are still some offensive tackle prospects on this board. But I feel like, to me, somewhat, there are some guys I feel like can come in there and get the job done. And I'm also still going to say I'm not out on a guy like Austin Richards, who the Cowboys took in last year's draft out of the University of North Carolina. That's a guy I still like to see what he can get done during training camp and as these workouts continue to progress through the offseason. The Cowboys, like I said, they have got to be able to bring in some firepower. And I'm going to say personally, if you bring in a guy like Xavier Legette with that 24th pick, or if you maybe trade down a little bit, because this is going to be a very deep wide receiver draft. I'm going to say that now. So we're not even pressed for a receiver. Let's be clear. This is just my list of guys I would not have an issue with the Cowboys taking with that 24th pick. But if you're able to, like I said, this is a deep wide receiver draft, so you can get some guys in the second, third round that could become splash players just as well in their rookie years. But a guy like Xavier Legette, just that physicality that he has and just that athleticism that he has shown and the speed he's shown, just a player of that size, that's crazy. I mean, could you I'm saying liken him to a guy like a DK Metcalf in that sense. But I would just like to see a player like this with just that different contrast of what CeeDee Lamb is going to give you playing opposite of him. The fifth player I would like the Cowboys to strongly take a look at bringing in with the 24th overall pick is just gonna say O-lineman, Graham Barton from the University of Duke, a 4-year player leaving after his senior year. I believe that the latter part of his freshman season ends up playing center for that team due to some injuries, and then the next 3 seasons at the University of Duke he plays left tackle. And this is a guy who's last year I believe he's an All-American, second-team All-American, and a 2-time All-ACC player. So we're talking about a 6'4", 6'5", about 315 pounds. I feel like this is a guy that can play tackle in this league, and to me it's the versatility. And we talk about guys with just that stature and having that build and then still having the same strength and size and quickness to be able to move around, because I feel like he's going to be very capable of playing left tackle if we choose to keep a guy like Tyler Smith at the left guard position. Like I said, it's going to be up in the air because obviously you still have a guy like TJ Bass who could potentially fill a role somewhat, and maybe in going to year 2 for him, he'll have picked up a few things and learned a few things. So we'll see how exactly this plays out. But the Cowboys are not going to be void of having options, because like I said, they have not really addressed anything majorly when it comes to free agency, and also we still have some players ourselves to figure out. So what you have to do after that when you're not really a free agency player in the team aspect, you're going to usually have to use the draft to fill some of your spaces, fill some of your holes, and just to find some elite talent. So the Cowboys have many ways they can take this thing, like I said. But that is my list of guys I'd like to see the Cowboys take a look at and bring in with the 24th overall pick if that's where they stand pat with. Go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section who are some of the players you would like the Cowboys to bring in. We've already seen running back, things like that, but I feel like the Cowboys can kind of find a couple of those good guys in the second, third round in day 2 of this draft. But let me know down below in the comment section. Like I said, you guys' opinions are very valuable on this channel. I want this to be the main interaction station for you guys to go ahead and throw your thoughts and opinions at me as well. So I appreciate you guys for all the support. We will enjoy the draft. Tomorrow is going to be a good one. It's going to be exciting because, again, the Cowboys is always up in the air. We don't know what we're going to do with these picks. So I appreciate you guys for all the support. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and share. Go Cowboys. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.